Good morning. Welcome everyone to Indonesia Pavilion. Hope you enjoy. And on the second session this morning, we're going to talk about the best practices of biodiversity conservation and forest rehabilitation for watershed management improvement. So involving local community in forest restoration activities is critical for success on biodiversity conservation. And there are several initiatives developed by GOI that have already made positive outcomes for the local community from economic, ecological, and social perspectives. So this particular session, we will discuss the efforts and approaches on biodiversity conservation and forest rehabilitation in achieving Indonesia NDCs as well as SDGs. And to commence the discussion, please welcome Dr. Zainal Arifin. He's the Director of Soil and Water Conservation from MOEF. Silakan, Pak.
Okay, thank you, Mona. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, honorable speakers, and ladies and gentlemen, attendee right now, good morning, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Well, I will be your host today. My name is Muhammad Zainal Arifin. I am from Watershed Management and Forest Rehabilitation DGs of Ministry of Environmental and Forestry of Indonesia. But first of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to all the COP28 UNFCCC participants, representatives of international organizations, and invitees joining us today for our session with the topic watershed management improvement through biodiversity conservation and forest rehabilitation. So these two main subject, biodiversity conservation and forest rehabilitation, will be our focus of discussion today. For me, it is an honor to be here. And of course, it is our precious chance also among us to share our knowledge, action, good practices, success story, as well as to strengthen our cooperation and collaboration between and among us. Okay, as what the MCs told us about that two biodiversity and forest rehabilitation, I should say that there is a key element of successful rehabilitation and restoration activities. It lies on sustainability, equitability, and also simultaneous ecological and economical productivity. Now we are going to discuss the practice that we are already conducted during our program. Also the program and cooperation, those part with the forest program, a joint initiative between the Government of Indonesia and German. Then we have a few projects that conducted to developing well-defined strategies and implementation for biodiversity conservation program and also integrated watershed management within the framework of REDD+. Actually, we have four speakers today. But I have announced that Mr. Farhan will be joining us today, but I don't think he's arrived yet. He will be giving a short speech about the transformative fiscal relation for forests. But we will go to him maybe at the end of our discussion. But first of all, I would like to invite the speakers today. First, from Ministry of Environmental and Forestry, Dr. Muhammad Saparis. Would you come to the stage, please? And secondly, Mr. Nicholas Nugroho, also from Ministry of Environmental and Forestry. And join us today virtually from KFW, Mr. Sebastian Dietrich. Okay, you are there. Hello. It's still very morning in German, I think.
Yes, hello. Cold.
It's cold.
Good morning from Frankfurt. It is, yes.
Okay, thank you, Sebastian. And last, we have our young professor, Professor Widianto from Gadjah Mada University. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, before we begin our session, I think we will show you the video of the successful story of what we are conducted with cooperation with the German and Indonesia through Forest Program 2 in Jambi. Would you please play the video? Please enjoy the video. Thank you.
The forest of Jambi is a habitat for Sumatran elephants. One of the special animals that is critically endangered, thus its enhanced conservation efforts are required. Today, an information center for elephant conservation has been built in Tebul Regency as one of the efforts to resolve conflict between human and wildlife in order to coexist and share space harmoniously. Many has been implemented in this program: animal upkeep to mitigate human and elephant conflict, environmental education for the community, species research and development, economic empowerment for the local community, management of the Elephant Data and Information Center, as well as supporting elephant ecotourism in its natural habitat.
Kami setelah begini ya, 40 sampai 60 hari sekali. Apa nih? Proses jualnya kami jual ke BKSDA yang punya gajah itu tadi.
Within the elephant's habitat, there are activities on the demonstration plot of land of gradual forest restoration program as a step to rehabilitate social forestry areas that have already been planted with palm oil trees in order to restore forest ecosystem with agroforestry patterns. The agroforestry program is one of the key efforts in rehabilitation to increase the forest and land benefits, because humans, as it should be responsible for critical land by making conservation efforts for natural ecosystem.
Kami selaku kelompok tani merasa berterima kasih atas bantuan itu. Kami merasa bersyukur, sangat senang sekali. Sebelumnya kami tidak ada apa-apanya. Setelah dibantu, kami sangat merasa bersyukur.
Now, communities are actively participating in ecosystem recovery and forest security, and farmer empowerment in buffering villages with activities that can boost the economy without having to clear the forest within the national park. It is also supported by ecotourism programs such as rafting, lake tourism, and climbing Mount Korinci. Ultimately, the habitat is preserved, no more critical land, and the people are living a prosperous life for now and future generations.
Thank you very much. It's for future generation. And I think the audience on the right will be having difficulty seeing the movie because my big body. I'm sorry. Okay, now, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, to emphasize our topic today, I would like to invite our keynote speakers today, Mrs. Diah Murtiningsih from Ministry of Environmental and Forestry of Indonesia. Mrs. Diah is DG of Watershed Management and Forest Rehabilitation. Okay, without further ado, please come to the stage. Mrs. Diah, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Zainal. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed delegates and honorable guests, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. It's an honor to stand before you today as the Director General of Watershed Management and Forest Rehabilitation, Ministry of Environment and Forestry of the Republic of Indonesia at COP28 UNFCCC in Dubai. I appreciate the opportunity to share with you the significant strides we have made in the past decade in rehabilitation our forests and lands, and the positive impacts on improving watershed quality and community well-being. Ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia has been diligently engaged in comprehensive forest and land rehabilitation initiatives. We have made efforts to restore land degradation, employing approach to 108 units of watersheds, 15 priority lakes, 65 reservoirs, 100 water springs, disaster-prone areas, fire-prone regions, and degraded land across 34 provinces. From 2015 to 2023, the Ministry of Environment and Forestry has engaged in comprehensive forest and land rehabilitation activities covering an extensive area of 1,720,100 hectares. This initiative includes diverse activities such as terrestrial reforestation, mangrove reforestation, and contribution to the development of the new national capital forest. Based on national data, we have rehabilitated 26,140 hectares of mangrove, constructed 7,450 retaining dams, installed 19,390 gully plugs, and produced 393 million high-quality seeds sourced from 61 nurseries. The utilization of geotagging showcasing the location of the tree planting activities as new breakthrough. Geotagging serves as a tool for monitoring and evaluating the progress of forest and land rehabilitation initiatives, enhancing transparency and accountability in the program. One of the most visible positive impacts of our rehabilitation efforts is the improvement in the quality of the watershed. The restored forests now serve as natural guardians, absorbing water, preventing soil erosion, and maintaining soil fertility. This has not only enhanced the quality of river water, but also reduced the risk of floods and landslides, creating a safer and more sustainable environment for our communities. Ladies and gentlemen, we have actively involved local communities in the rehabilitation process. A strong community participation program has been the cornerstone of our success. We acknowledge that sustainability is not only about the environment, but also about human life harmonizing with nature. By engaging local communities, we foster awareness of the importance of preserving and nurturing their surrounding environment. Furthermore, the rehabilitation of forests and lands has had a positive effects on the well-being of local communities. Through reforestation programs and ecotourism activities, we have created new employment opportunities and increased the income of local residents. It is not just about protecting nature. It is also about providing tangible economic benefits to those living around the rejuvenated forest. However, our journey is far from over. We recognize that environmental challenges are global and international cooperation is crucial to achieving our shared goals. Therefore, Indonesia sincerely invites all stakeholders present to unite and collaborate in efforts to preserve our environment. Ladies and gentlemen, in concluding this presentation, I want to emphasize Indonesia's commitment to continuing to lead in the pursuit of environmental sustainability. We are committed to ongoing community engagement, the implementation of green technology innovations, and fostering global cooperations to achieve sustainable development goals. Thank you to all those who have supported our efforts and let us together strive to preserve our planet as a legacy for future generations. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Ms. DGs. Once again, big applause for Ibu Dia. Thank you, Excellencies, for the speeches. So now, ladies and gentlemen, we are moved to our session for today's agenda. Without further ado, I'd like to welcome our first speaker, Dr. Saparis, to start the presentation. But before we begin, I have to tell you that we have very limited time. So every speakers, I would respectfully encourage to deliver your presentation about not more than 8 minutes. Is it okay, right? 8 minutes. So every time you hear this sound, okay? Every bell that rings, you will only 2 minutes to conclude your presentation. Okay, I kindly invite our first speaker, Dr. Muhammad Safaris, to officially start this session. Please, Mr. Safaris, over to you.
Thank you, moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Actually, our DG already present overall about the relationship between watershed management and soil conservation and also forest rehabilitation program. And I would like to add a little bit, just perhaps 5 minutes. It means I don't spend a lot of time to present my presentation. I would like to present about the landscape approach, a perspective to achieve a better watershed health. Next slide, please. Now, we are now attending in the climate change conference. I think when we talk about the climate change, I think it is strongly in line with mitigation and adaptation. And in my opinion, both of them strongly in line with the terrain and landscape configuration. There are numerous definitions about landscape. Many speakers in the previously explained about landscape. I would like to present the landscape from my perspective. In general, landscape can be defined as a broad area which is homogeneous for some defined characters in which we are able to perceive relationship between structural and functional component. We are absolutely understood that topographic configuration frequently used in explaining relationship between them. And I think we can choose a green definition to use especially for explaining how importance watershed management should be improved to be health situation. Green said that a particular configuration topographic vegetation cover, land use and settlement pattern which delimits some coherence of natural and cultural processes. Sorry, I lost my. Coherence of natural and cultural process activities. It is rely with the relationship among land attribute in the watershed. Perhaps we can imagine that in the watershed there are many land attributes and we have to identify relationship among them. For that reason, we can identify hazard condition in our watershed. It is a reason why we have to improve our watershed through forest and land rehabilitation program. Next slide, please. Next slide. Click again. Click again. Click again. Sorry. Previously. This configuration document showing that Indonesia composed by dissected area. Most of Indonesia terrain is dissected area. It means erosion hazard and landslide even in there. It leads to stripping, erosion and roadside protection and roadside erosion, and damage high investment infrastructure in the downstream. We can find high erosion rate in the agriculture area. But we have to consider that we have to consider that we have various conditions of the landscape situation in Indonesia. Watershed situation in Indonesia. Watershed with high drainage density leads to high runoff. In the graph showing that time to peak in the drainage density watershed is shorter than low or moderate drainage density. Should be considered when we formulate the forest and rehabilitation program, because we have to stress that our program should become a permanent solution to reduce land degradation and to reduce hazard in the downstream. Next slide. Next slide. Oh, sorry. We are now have a expert system for defining forest and rehabilitation program properly in the field. Actually, this expert program developed by using distributed spatial modeling. From the model, we identify properly area for reduction of landslide, properly area for reduction of runoff, properly area for improving land condition, properly area for reducing livelihood destruction due to various hazard in the downstream. It is our pretension as a consideration in defining the program, and this expert system will be enlarged with my colleague Pak Nico in the larger scale, namely yearly land rehabilitation program, a plan of yearly rehabilitation program. It is enough. I think that's all my presentation. Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind attention.
I already have my mic. I don't have a chance to ring my bell. He only takes 6 minutes of his time. Okay, thank you again, Mr. Dr. Savaris. Our next speaker is Mr. Nicholas Nugroho, but can we also use the center of the TV? So the people right here can also give the clearer presentation view. So, okay. Mr. Nico, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Zainal. Since I only have 8 minutes, I would like to make the presentation very quick. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished delegates. My presentation, this session is about how forest and land rehabilitation been conducted in Indonesia. Next slide, please. According to Paris Agreement, next slide, please.
You can use the controller here.
Oh. Okay. Oh, yeah. According to the Paris Agreement, in the COP21 in 2015, Indonesia has launched the NDC, Nationally Determined Contribution to Emission Reduction, is about 29% with our own strength. And with the support from other countries, the target of emission reduction become 38%. Since then, up to now, the NDC has been revised twice. The latest NDC that was launched last year in 2022 by the Government of Indonesia, we call it Enhanced NDC. The target of emission reduction in Indonesia become 31.89% with our own strength to achieve it. But with the support from other countries, we may have achieved up to 43.2% emission reduction. There are two actually strategic projects that support NDC and SDGs, namely forest and land rehabilitation. The second one is supply of high quality seedling. Okay, this is the forest and land rehabilitation in Indonesia. In our term, forest and land rehabilitation is the effort to maintain and to restore and to improve the productivity of land and forest. So we can see here a picture that shows us the difference. The area before and after rehabilitation, forest and rehabilitation conducted. So the left picture is the condition before rehabilitation process is conducted, and the left and the right side we can see the growth of vegetation cover in the area, in the same area after the forest and rehabilitation been conducted. Next. Actually, what is the key performance indicator to conduct forest and land rehabilitation? The key performance of indicator of forest and land rehabilitation program is actually how we are able to reduce the rate of deforestation and forest degradation, where the target or goal that would like to be achieved is to increase vegetation coverage of forest and land. As we can see here, from the strategic plan from 2020 to 2024, actually in average, we have approximately 175,000 to 230,000 hectares. But unfortunately, in the phase of implementation, we have made some adjustment related to the condition that Indonesia has. Actually, from 2020 to 2022, we have experienced the pandemic. So this is a great impact for our target of forest and land rehabilitation. As we can see here, the chart in the below left, the green one and the yellow one. The green one represent the target we would like to achieve each year, and the yellow one is the realization of each year that we have already achieved. In 2023, this year, we have a target of 12,500 hectares area to be rehabilitated in the forest and the area outside the forest. And for next year, in 2024, we have total 30,500 hectares forest and land to be rehabilitated. Next, please. Beside the vegetative activity in forest and land rehabilitation, we also develop or making the activity to construct infrastructure such as dam, gully plug, and okay. So it's very limited. Okay, Pak Zainal, I think okay, yeah. This is the supply. Before. Yeah. This is actually how we support forest and land rehabilitation. The supply of seedlings. We have already developed and construct the large scale of nursery in several places in Indonesia. that can produce approximately 5 million to 15 million seedlings that can be used to support the forest and land rehabilitation. We also develop and construct the mangrove nursery center in Bali that can produce 6 million mangrove seedlings to support rehabilitation in mangrove area. I think next. Yeah, no. This one. This one is activity that recently we have been doing to assure us the accountability of the forest and land rehabilitation. We use the term of geotagging. This is a method for recording and documenting forest and rehabilitation plan that describe not only in the picture of the plant that is planted, but also the location, the time, the coordinate point of the trees, and so many attributes that can attest to that information. You can see here, we also can make a plan map according to the geotagging, the position of the tree, overlaid with the area that, a particular area that is stated to be rehabilitated. Next, the challenges. I think there are two challenges we have in our forest and land rehabilitation. First, in terms of developing new and renewable energy. Forest and land rehabilitation can be an alternative. It is necessary to select the right species of plant and future policies that take into account the ecological aspect, community welfare, and contribution to the country's development. And the second one is, as a government, implementing policies and program needs to involve all relevant stakeholders. What needs to be underlined is related to trust and communication, which almost every region has different problems and ways to solve them. We have to be able to build trust and communication in the future. I think this is my conclusion of my presentation, Pak Zainal. Terima kasih. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nico. Ladies and gentlemen, please give more power to the applause, please. Because the sound interferes in here, so everyone knows that we are also alive, okay? Okay, the next, the next speaker is virtually from Germany, Mr. Sebastian. Are you with us? Okay. Next speaker is Mr. Sebastian Dietrich. Please, Mr. Sebastian, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Can we see also the presentation? Because I have no access to the presentation here with my device. Can you just share the presentation that I submitted?
Yes, we can share your presentation here, Sebastian.
So do you see the presentation already? Because I only see the Indonesian Pavilion
not yet.
sign.
Okay, now we can see.
Okay, great.
Okay.
So thank you very much, Pak Zainal. Also, thank you very much, Ibu Dia, dear speakers and ladies and gentlemen. It's a great honor for me to speak to you today on behalf of KfW on the topic of financing watershed management and biodiversity conservation. My name is Sebastian Dittrich. I'm a portfolio manager working on forestry projects in Indonesia. And to those of you who are not familiar with KfW, KfW is a state-owned bank, and especially the development bank part of this group is promoting financial cooperation projects all over the globe on behalf of the Federal Republic of Germany. Next, please. So today I'll shortly touch upon achievements in watershed management and biodiversity conservation. I will also talk a little bit about challenges, project approaches, and then I will summarize everything again in lessons learned. Next, please. So as we have already seen in this video and also presented by the other speakers, it's all about putting the communities in the center of action. So we can see that, for instance, on activities such as smart patrollings, this can lead to a great success to decrease human-wildlife conflicts, for instance, but also to protect the forest itself. And it provides an educational aspect as well to be more aware of the environmental services that are provided by forests. We see also that the agroforestry models that are used in watershed management are very successful because it addresses the economical need of the communities, which then increases also activities on protecting the forest. And we can see in some cases that capital stock has increased by up to 38%. And investments made have a return on invest by, let's say, between 5 to 10 years. Within the especially social forestry strategy of the Ministry of Environment and Forestry of Indonesia, we can see that some communities have already qualified for international exports of, for instance, crops such as coffee and cinnamon, which is very great. And it's, of course, a strong motivator factor for other communities to also follow up on this kind of action. What is also very important is multi-stakeholder formats. And we have also seen in this video that, for instance, this elephant center and information center, which we saw on this video, is very successful because it is providing awareness to local communities and tourists, but it can also support in conflict mitigation all around this area. So it's a great way of providing support, but also on the same hand, providing educational aspects as well as to exchange on information with regard to biodiversity conservation and forest management. Next, please. So when it comes to addressing challenges that occur on watershed management, there are several aspects to name. Usually, as we have already heard, it's a landscape. And in this landscape, you have different type of lands, for instance, forestry lands, but also agricultural land, which means that you have different stakeholders being responsible for this area. And this provides, of course, certain responsibilities to cooperate amongst these different stakeholders. So you have usually to address jurisdictional aspects and try to work together in this area. But of course, when it comes to the different land types, you have, of course, different ways of using this land. And when it's about agricultural land, then understandably, communities try to make the most out of this land. They are following an economical interests. And this economical interest is also further enhanced through subsidies when it's about, for instance, cultivating corn or potatoes in this area, and sometimes in very steep hills. And when you have rain, soil is washed away, and it's increasing, like we see on the right hand here on these two pictures, erosions and landslides. So you have to deal with these kind of activities when working in these landscapes. And another aspect that is also critical in some cases can be the usage of pesticides. So you have to try to deal with potentially the capacity issue sometimes by providing alternative way of using and cultivating land. So generally speaking, these challenges can lead to a decrease of environmental services provided by the watershed, leading to erosion, landslides, as I said, damage to infrastructures, for instance, roads, but also houses. And at the end, you, of course, experience a loss of biodiversity and potentially also CO2 emissions. Next, please. So as also addressed by the other speakers, when you want to work in this kind of areas, you have to deal with the landscape. And when it's about watershed management, we see upper, middle, and downstream areas. In the upper areas, for instance, you have in some cases national parks, and with different activities you need to implement there. You would like to protect these areas more. You would like to provide buffer zones there. And in the middle and upstream areas where you might have a higher way of degradation, you would like to rehabilitate. But this really much depends, and this was said before as well, on the landscape itself. But you need to ensure that you are dealing with these different demands on these landscapes. Then, as I said, it's about stakeholder cooperation, of course, because you are dealing with many different stakeholders there, not only communities, but also different institutions due to the jurisdictional aspects that I was referring to. And this has to be jointly incorporated into a project approach that is dealing with the different interests in this landscape. But you have to also ensure that there is capacity development, of course, in order to provide knowledge and awareness about the environmental services that are provided by watersheds and biodiversity. Next, please. So we are coming also to the last slide today about the lessons learned, summarizing what I've said before. So it's all about putting communities in the center of the activities of the project approach. And of course, the communities, they are looking for economical benefits in order to provide support to their families. And this is totally understandable. So you have to ensure that the economical demands of these communities are met and combined in protecting the biodiversity and protecting the watershed management. And this is potentially possible through the development of business models that are in the core of the forestry areas. And this is also a great way of providing sustainability because the communities are then more interested in further cooperating and in further protecting forests and the biodiversity. When you're starting the activities, then of course the participatory approaches are very necessary, and a good planning period at the beginning of the project start in order to learn about the different demands and the different needs of these communities, and therefore you can then further continue the community-centered approach. Another aspect that I would quickly like to touch upon is the cooperation with the private sector. And there's a very interesting aspect, the payment for environmental services, where, for instance, a private company such an electricity company can provide payments to communities to protect the watershed, which is then decreasing erosion and leads to less maintenance cost for these kind of companies. So you have a benefit sharing model in place, which is also a very sustainable way forward. And last but not least, of course, we need to avoid top-down approaches, but really cooperating and use a participatory approach. That's it. Thank you very much. And I'm very much looking forward for questions.
Big applause for Sebastian. Thank you, Sebastian. The speakers today is very punctual. You know, we give us 8 minutes and they do the 8 minutes very good. Okay, finally we have our professor, Professor Widianto from University of Gajah Mada University. So over to you, Professor, please.
Thank you, Dr. Zainal. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I will present about how the contribution of the forest rehabilitation to achieve sustainable development goal and also national determined contribution, especially how rehabilitation can contribute to reduce the emission in Indonesia.
Please wait for the presentation, Professor.
Yeah. Okay. Like we know that our country is one of the locations in the tropical forest, and then we know that tropical forest is cover 6 until 10% of the land terrestrial, but it can contribute more than 50% biodiversity in the world. And we know that our country also in the one part of the biodiversity in the Southeast Asia, and then we can find many endemic species, not only animal, but we can found the many plant endemic in our country. That's why we must conserve and also rehabilitate many locations degraded in our country. And then we know that tropical forest can conserve about the carbon around 128 in the terrestrial, but also when we know that our country also have the mangrove forest, they can also store more than 5 times the carbon compared to in the terrestrial. And then we can see that about the forest as they can provide the many economic and environment benefit. That's why we can provide many food and energy and also fresh water in the forest. And then managing forest, sustainable forest is very important to restore and also to manage in the future. And then another hand, in the tropical forest, we can find the many medicinal plant can harvested from the forest. And in the 2010, collaboration between Ministry of the Forestry and also University Gadjah Mada already collected more than 105 species from the natural forest that can be used for the, what I call it, like some the drug. That's why important thing today is how can manage and conserve the natural forest still exists to explore more than the medicinal plant from the forest. And then another hand, when we manage the forest, I think watershed forest management, like the Dr. Sapari said, that is very important because the watershed is like the landscape area that can provide many benefits, not only environment, but also how we can manage the area can contribute for the social aspect and also economics. For example, if we can manage the good mountain forest in the upper catchment, I think we can provide the fresh water from the lowlands. It means how we can manage the mountain forest is very important. It's our part of the landscape. So watersheds is very important to maintain the forest in the landscape. And then, however, we can see some forest degradation in Indonesia. Even today, the forest degradation is already declined, and also our country already contribute how to rehabilitation. Based on the data in the Ministry Environment and the Forestry, they already rehabilitated more than 1.7 million hectares, use the state budget. But on the other hand, our ministry also collaboration with some of the private sector to rehabilitate the many degraded forests. So we hope in the future our forest can still contribute for the ecosystem services. This is like the Dr. Nico said that our country also contribute to reduce the emissions, and then that's why Ministry of the Environment and Forestry declare the decree about the Indonesia volume netting that can be reduced more than 31.8% by the self-efforts, and also with the international support we can reduce until 43.2% emission. And forestry should be contribute more than 60%. It is just why we say that the forestry is an important sector in our country to support our government policy to reduce emission in the future. And then how we can choose the species for rehabilitation. I think when we say that the rehabilitation, one of the important things is what kind of species when we use to rehabilitation. And when we choose the species, I think we have the three kind of main factor. First, environments. Environments mean we must choose the right place for the planting. Another hand is the policy. Why in the policy? Because even though we have the appropriate species, but if the government or didn't support through the policy, I think we can do the rehabilitation. On the other hand, objective based on the policy, I think like Dr. Nico said that when we rehabilitation, we also accommodate the local people objective. That's why we use the many species to rehabilitation to improve not only environment, but also economic benefit for local peoples. And then this is, for example, like the Ministry of Environment and Forestry said that one of the important things when we use the spatial planting is we use good improved seed and also improve the seedling. This is an example how our institution and one of the forest company and also Ministry of Environment and Forestry conduct the collaboration research to find the best clone to rehabilitation in especially for in the reforestation in the monsoon forest. And then this species implemented in the Java Island, where more than 50% population Indonesia live in the Java. And then we choose the many method, and then rehabilitation and for economic. This is example, yeah. And then, yeah, just example to improve carbon. Yeah, this is example. Another hand, we also conserve with the natural forest using the native species, so we can use this species for rehabilitation and also preserve the natural forest for extinction in the future. This is also how contribution for rehabilitation, not only for land, but also contribute to maintain the many key species animals still exist in the forest. Yeah, this is also other success story for rehabilitation in our country. Bare land become the forestry, and the water spring already appear until 60 years. This is also activity by social innovation to accelerate landscape rehabilitation by the ministry. In the Lampung area, they use the multi-species, purpose tree species to rehabilitation, and after that, they can many benefit not only the rehabilitation land cover, but also produce many fruit, can increase the income for the local people. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Big applause, please. So, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, distinguished delegates, before we begin our discussion session, together with us, Mr. Fathan Subhi. Okay, I would like to give the stage for you. He is the Vice Chairman of Indonesian Parliament, the 11th Commission, okay? And he will give us the short speech about the very important information about transformative fiscal relation to forests. Okay, please, the stage is yours.
Dear Excellencies, dear Honorable Member of the COP's delegation, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. It is a privilege for me to give this address to all of you on such fantastic occasion. At the 28th Conference on the Parties of the United Nations Climate Conference in beautiful Dubai of the United Arab Emirates at the Indonesia Pavilion. It is worth maintaining again and again that all of us are facing a real pressing challenge. That is the planetary crisis, notably climate change. This is a crisis for humanity. The crisis for our generation now, and the crisis for the generation of the future. With this is our background, it is encouraged to know that accelerating inclusive climate progress is front and center of COP28's climate progress that is equitable for all parties, especially for the global south. Dear Excellencies, dear fellow delegates, I would like to confirm the position of the Republic of Indonesia at COP28 summit. As the President of Republic of Indonesia, His Excellency Joko Widodo, has addressed in statement on Friday last week here. To meet target of saving a net carbon sink in forestry and other sector by 2030, Indonesia need and has taken what President Joko Widodo said via systemic and innovative step. Furthermore, Indonesia has led by example by combined economic and social consideration and develop partnership for sustainable forest management. We can add that the partnership should involve subnational jurisdiction protecting the forest. I would like to emphasize that the benefit of protecting their forests go beyond the boundaries of the province or district or municipalities, and that they are contributing to safeguarding global public goods as well as become nature-based solution from Indonesia to the world. Dear Excellencies, dear fellow delegates, please let me bring to your attention the latest policy innovation in this area and its progress in Indonesia. I am talking about an innovative fiscal transfer policy for subnational that can significantly impact humanity. I represent the Finance Commission of the National Parliament of the Republic Indonesia, the 11th Commission. In this opportunity and in that capacity, I would like to update you on the announcement I addressed at COP27 at Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt last year about the public policy innovation. This is just a short backdrop for you all. Last year, Indonesia already enacted a new law and intergovernmental fiscal relation between central and subnational level. The fiscal ties between the central and subnational government or the HKBD law in short, Undang-Undang Hubungan Keuangan antara pemerintah pusat dan daerah. The Finance Commission of the National Parliament led the process of making this law in partnership with our Ministry of Finance. The fiscal transfer include a general purpose transfer or DAU transfer, dana alokasi umum. This block grant represent Indonesia's most significant fiscal transfer by amount. In this fiscal year or 2020, it amount to 396 trillion Indonesia rupiah or about 25 billion US dollar. Their Excellencies, their fellow delegates. This new fiscal transfer law entitled way to calculate fiscal need to province, district, and municipalities as recipient of the DAU transfer. We are happy and proud to highlight to you that in this calculation, one of the indicators that Indonesia apply for the regional characteristic is the indicator of forest cover index. Yes, it is a forest cover indicator. Excellencies, fellow delegates, I invite you to delve with me into number this beautiful morning here in Dubai. The very intention of sharing this is the better appreciate the significance of the transformative fiscal transfer policy in Indonesia. Let us look at the fiscal gap filling for this year, DAU transfer to provinsi, district, and municipalities. In Indonesia, a fiscal gap approach apply to calculate this fiscal transfer. Using the formula as applied in 2023, 1 billion US dollar or 70 trillion rupiah. Of this fiscal transfer for subtechnical jurisdiction, that is provinsi and local government, can be attributed to the presence of the forest cover. From this amount, 820 billion dollar or 20.8 trillion rupiah will be added to the local government. This is district and municipalities because of the forest cover. Their Excellencies, dear fellow delegate, as we embrace this fiscal transfer innovation as good news, I want to reflect on two things. First, we also strive to protect tropical rainforests of the significant scale through such fiscal transfer information and demonstrated by Indonesia. Domestic resource mobilization among other domestic and international policy instruments should allow us to stabilize the global climate, especially given the foremost importance of tropical rainforest contribution to climate. Second, with this fiscal transfer innovation, Indonesia has done its homework. Indonesia is leading by example. Indonesia is leading by example as part of global solution. We hope that is internationally acknowledged and become the basis for genuine cooperation. In my view, the global North should do its homework too, owning to its historical responsibility by cooperating with countries in the global South and helping with the finance, knowledge, and technology transfer. Distinguished guests and honorable member of the COP delegation, I am accompanied here by other members of the Finance Commission of the National Parliament of the Republic of Indonesia, Your Excellencies Mr. Ella Siti Nuryamah and Mrs. Ratna Juwita. It is correct and honorable to consider the forest cover of our provinces, districts, and municipalities in how our fiscal transfer is being counted and allocated. May we all receive continued blessing from the Almighty God. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farhan. Please, thank you. You can sit in the front or you can sit with the audience. Well, we actually have only 15 minutes for discussion, so maybe I will save 3 minutes for our conclusion. Anyone from the floor want to have something to say for their opinions or question, please? On the left? Don't get interfere with the other's sound. Just concentrate on me. Do you have any question? Miss Inge? There's one of them. It's really, okay. You can state your name from your organization and who you address the questions. Please.
Thank you so much for the interesting discussion. My name is Lena Michenkova. I represent a project developer who does community-based mangrove reforestation. We do a project in Indonesia already, and we are planning to do a larger one. And what we are amazed at is how communities are aware of mangrove reforestation usefulness, of the mangrove ecosystem, and of the techniques of mangrove reforestation. Are there any national initiatives or programs which contribute to such education? Because I would say on an international scale, it's an amazing thing. This is not what we see in many countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lena. I guess you're from Austria, is it? Yes. So the question is about the mangrove rehabilitations. You are addressing the question to the all. Okay. So I think Mr. Nico will very connected to your question. He is the Director of Forest and Land Rehabilitation. Please, Mr. Nico. If Dr. Saparis will add something later on.
Okay, thank you for the question. Actually, Indonesia has a long strategic plan for mangrove rehabilitation. For now, we have a target over than 600,000 hectare mangrove area to be rehabilitated. And this is the challenge for our government and our commitment to restore the area of mangrove that needs to be rehabilitated. We also involve so many parties, not only the private sector, but also all relevant stakeholders to get involved and to contribute in the mangrove forest rehabilitation.
Thank you, Mr. Nico. So, Ms. Lena, we will have our discussion about mangrove, especially about mangrove, tomorrow at 4 p.m., I think, 4 p.m. And our director, Ibu Inge, he is the director of mangrove rehabilitation, will give us a very specific presentation about the mangrove rehabilitation. Okay, is there any question? Another? Okay, please.
Hi everyone, good morning. My name is Triana. I work with Seruni. Seruni is a national women's organization in Indonesia. We organize women from all sectors, but most of our members are women workers, peasant women, indigenous women, and also fisher women. In this forum, I would like to ask the watershed management, especially in the palm oil plantation area, because we all know quite well the land in Indonesia is mostly controlled by the palm oil plantation company. So how do you think you can manage the watershed management itself? And what the country of Indonesia do. I mean, from the government side, because the palm oil itself contributing to the biggest emission. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mbak Riana. Yes. Okay. This is really, so you don't address to another everyone. Okay. This is really Mr. Dr. Sapari's field about the watershed. Please.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, we assess watershed health in Indonesia, over all of watershed health in Indonesia, and we already identify various factors affect affect to watershed condition, and we found that forest conversion to other land use like palm oil also contribute watershed reduction. It means we have to stress that palm oil is quite absolutely different with forest in terms of hydrologic process, because forests have good water regulation. Instead of palm oil, we have to consider it. Sorry, palm plantation. Palm plantation. We have to consider it. And we try to improve palm plantation plantation with in between plantation, in between palm trees, because it leads to better condition when we compare with individual palm plantation. It is our recommendation to improve water condition due to expansion of palm plantation. Thank you.
Thank you. Sebastian, do you have something to add to our discussion?
No. It's very interesting to listen to the answers. There's at the moment nothing I would like to add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. According to our experience with Sebastian also in Jambi, we do our biodiversity and forest rehabilitation in Jambi. Also, we face the palm oil plantation, the traditional and the big company. So it's entering the national park, but we do our cooperation with the forest program too, with KFW, and we already have a good outcome. So the community-based project with the usually do the palm oil activities, but they are trying to transform it to more forest product. I hope that answer your question.
Sorry, I would like to
Okay.
add one.
Please, Dr. Severus.
One point. Actually, palm plantation lead to high evapotranspiration. We have to consider it because if you want to plant the palm plantation in dry area, it leads to drought situation. It is, I think, should be considered.
That's one perspective from eco-hydrology, right? Okay, that's good perspective. So, are we have to conclude now? Okay. Through our presentation and discussion, I think there is at least 3 key elements that I have to make a strong note of it. So the biodiversity is very important, and it is now on under threat to factors like habitat destruction and etc. But through our forest rehabilitation, we are now essentially for biodiversity conservation. So I think from all the speakers, we talk about our future generation. So what we do is to preserve the good environment for our future generation. So it is very important to do the community involvement, engaging the local communities in conservation efforts. It's really high effectively to our projects. And maybe the last, we hope that our discussion today will be a good contribution to our next program and our next project. So I think I would like to have a very respectfully thankful to all the audience, all the excellencies, all the distinguished delegates that have enthusiasm and great work to Indonesia Rehabilitation and Conservation Program. So again, thank you again very much for your appreciation today. It's been an honor for me. Once again, my name is Muhammad Zainal Arifin from Ministry of Environmental and Forestry. I hope you are in happy and healthy condition always. Thank you very much. See you again in the next future.
Thank you, Pak Zainal, for concluded in a timely fashion.